Hola Mundo. I'm Ashua Nicole.
And I'm Julie McNeil.
And we're going to talk a little more about demonstrating the reality that you prefer today.
Yeah, it's a great topic, and it's something that everyone needs to know a lot more about.
It's also coming up a lot. I know in my life it's coming up quite a bit, and I keep getting calls from friends or SOS calls from people who want some support about dealing with the situation that they have going on. I find that people are in situations right now frequently that are things that either they've gone into agreement previously or have continued to be in agreement with or participating in. And these situations can be difficult and they don't want to continue them. And so they want to know what to do about that.
Yeah. You know, this whole, the success that we have in life is really about understanding who you are authentically and really demonstrating that, like being in alignment with yourself, you know?
It's also about choosing who we want to be in any given moment, because that's something that's going to continue to change. It comes up frequently, but it evolves over time, and we're refining that process all the time. Like, who am I now? Who am I today? What am I willing to deal with? What am I willing to put up with? What am I going to contribute to now? But this works both ways. So demonstrating is different than acting on your highest excitement. I've said that in a previous video, but it's different because acting on your highest excitement is discovering things that get you moving and get you excited to take some action or do something or learn something new. When we're in demonstration, this goes beyond the action on your excitement step, because it's something that sustains. It's what you're doing every day. It's a bit more mundane often, but it is something that we're constantly putting into practice. And it's also informed by the premises that we have. So we live under the idea that we create our own reality. So I'm constantly making a choice about how to proceed with things or how to interpret things that happen to me.
Yeah, and you know, you're talking about what do I do when things aren't going well, for example. How do I maintain integrity with what it is I really want? So, and again, it's about clarity, about understanding that you, first of all, deserve a good life experience, and you are the creator of your life experience. So when you're faced with difficult situations or difficult people and what to do, you really need to be clear about who are you? Are you a person that wants peace and well-being? Then be the peace and well-being that you want.
Yeah, you have to show other people what that looks like. You have to actually demonstrate, be the example of what respect looks like, or what real happiness looks like, or pleasure or contentment. You have to be the walking, talking model for what it looks like when people respect others all the time. Love, unconditional love, is respectful all the time. There's always justice in unconditional love. You don't take advantage of people if you're loving. You take advantage of people if you're acting out of fear. So if you're operating from a fear-based set of premises, belief systems, ideas, notions that you have to assert your will into situations, that's an indication that you could probably do some things differently, because the results that you're going to get from those types of assertions are not going to yield you the things that you really want. They're actually going to make it difficult to be in the world, and everything is strained. People are anxious around you. It's you feel like you have to fight for everything. That might be an indicator that you're operating from a deep set belief of limitation or the need to control.
Yeah, and Nicole, I think one of the things people don't really understand is when you harbor negative and ill feelings or ill will or anger toward other people, situations, you know, you can't do that without putting that back into your system.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you really, your cell tissue is being impacted by the emotions that you hold. And so that understanding that I deserve, or you feel and know that you deserve a good experience, you have to create that. And so you can't put out what's not within you.
Well, that's the law of attraction.
Absolutely.
It's what you put out, you get back all day long. It's not even about karma. It's pretty self-evident, typically. And you can convince yourself all you want that this isn't happening, or, I have to control these people, or they're never going to do what they're supposed to do. I hear that at work sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like, wow. I know when I trust people behave in a way that is trustworthy. I understand how my power to create in my reality summons the very things that I need from other people to have a really great interaction or a great experience.
Yeah, we're eliciting from other people how they respond to us.
Yes.
We think that people are just, doing things to us, but basically we are vibrationally eliciting. So one of the things that I can tell you that I've done in the past is if I want to change a relationship or a situation with someone for it to be better, I actually do my work when I'm not with that person.
Absolutely.
And imagining the characteristics about that person that I really love.
Yes.
Or even if they have 10 things and one of them is the only thing that I like, I really try to focus on that. So when you get together, with that person, you are seeing them in a positive light, and they can really feel that, and they respond accordingly. So demonstrating, being clear about what you want to create, and choosing, as you were saying, is so important.
This is so related to the story we tell ourselves about other people, about things, about ourselves. We're always telling a story. And I was recently having a conversation with one of my high-flying friends, and she was, we were talking about how, so the situation was, we were going to meet up and go somewhere, and then she couldn't make it, and instead of giving me some canned response or some whatever funky response about why she couldn't make it, she told me the truth about why she couldn't make it. And it was something that was a vulnerable thing to reveal, and I was like, that's so awesome, thank you. But when I finally did meet up with her, we were talking about it. She was explaining how, she had just had an interaction with someone else, and they were telling them the truth about something that, she couldn't otherwise have known or gauged. And I was like, people always bring me their truth. Whether they want to or not, people always tell me their truth.
I love that.
It is so true, but that's the story that I'm always telling. And so we were both laughing because she's like, I wasn't even going to send you that, but something just compelled me to just share. Let me just tell her the truth. If I'm going to live this way, I have to be doing it authentically. And I was like, yes, and that is the time that we're in. What is your truth?
And the truth will set you free.
All day long.
Yeah. I love that. So you're eliciting truth and authenticity from other people. Yeah. And by the way, that's a good point, because oftentimes, have you ever been faced with a difficult situation and you're thinking, what can I say? What can I tell them? Tell them the truth.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Right.
And it's interesting. The truth really will set you free, and that's part of demonstration.
Yeah. Sometimes your truth is simply your action, because energy never lies. I say that all the time. I'm an energy reader. People are always giving a signal. Sometimes it's a little tough for me to have a regular conversation with people because I'm hearing the words that they're saying, but I'm also getting this whole other stream of consciousness coming from them energetically that's saying something entirely different. Right. So I typically respond to their energetic output because that's the truth. Yeah. Because energy never lies. You can't hide that part. So sometimes you may not be the person may be so toxic or difficult that you're dealing with. And I recently had a situation like that where this person, they're always right and no one else has an opinion in their view. And so it's really tough to tell someone about themselves when they're just going to weaponize that information or not going to be able to hear it or whatever. So in that situation, I just rely on my showing you. I don't have to sit here and convince you of anything, but I can sure show you,
That's right. So, and show yourself too. Yes. I mean, you're really, when you're standing in your power, you are walking your talk, and you're looking at your ability to look at yourself in the mirror and see a reflection that you respect. It's the best place, and it's the best life that you can live.
It really is. So. And it frees you. It keeps you clear, and it keeps you moving along the path that you want.
One other thing I was going to mention too, because you said something earlier, so when you're trying to make a decision. What choices do I make? What do I say? How do I handle this, awkward or uncomfortable situation, or when someone has wronged you? And one of the things that I often tell people is you have choices. The two choices I think you have is to either punish people or to teach, and that's what you're talking about. And through that demonstration, if they're doing something that's not bringing out the best, you can take it and get back at them. Okay, or you can teach.
Okay, I
so
got
what
to
are your
respond
thoughts?
to that.
Okay.
So just the whole idea of wrong, those are words that I would never use because no one has ever wronged me. They've only offered me their truth. They've only offered me who they are. They've only shown me who they are. You know, like Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, you believe them. And so, and I do every time. What I do is take that information and say, okay, what do I want this to mean to me? Because I understand what they might think they want it to mean to me.
Yeah.
You know, if they're trying to take advantage of me. So I had someone who was literally misusing my kindness, taking my kindness. I don't like it when people interpret my kindness as weakness. Kindness is kindness. There's no attachment. I don't expect to get anything for being kind because it benefits everyone when I am kind, when I'm unconditionally holding someone in my perspective. I don't expect you to be anything other than what you are. But you're free to show me whatever it is you want, whatever you can offer up. And I'm free to interpret it however I want. So in order to first judge something as wronged, there has to be a right. And in my belief system, there is no wrong or right. It simply is what it is. You're either operating out of fear, you're operating out of love.
Yep.
So when you bring me that low frequency, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's not how I prefer to interact with people. Me and my friends don't do that. This isn't something that I want to get used to. This isn't something I'm willing to accept. And because of that, I'm going to have a response. Now, the hilarious thing is, I typically don't have the response most people expect that they're going to get.
Okay.
And that often confuses them. Like, you know, can you think of an example of because it's a subtle thing sometimes. Sometimes it can be quite obvious.
Yeah.
So like if you said when you feel like someone has wronged you, you can punish them or you can teach them. And I don't feel like, first of all, whenever somebody does like aggresses on me in some way, usually it's like just an emotional or verbal or something. They're trying to do something. And I'm just like, yeah, no thanks. You know, first of all, I don't respond. I don't match their frequency. I don't let it make me get upset, because in order for me to get upset, I have to be invested in whatever it is they're saying. And I'll go back to the example of my kids. And it's such a simple thing. They were toddlers. And, you know, if one of them calls the other one stupid, well, how did you feel? Did you feel stupid? If you felt like it might be true, that would be the only reason that you would have to get angry.
Absolutely.
And I'm never in agreement with someone's low perspective of me. Now I will listen to it. Oh wow, I will check myself, you know, because I want to be a good citizen.
Yeah. You're looking for you're dedicated to personal growth and in ascension. So you want to have discernment and have self-awareness and look for, well, maybe I could have said that a little more with more awareness that you may have your own situation. So it's just that you're looking for feedback, but and I hear you on the wrong part, because when you're making someone wrong, I get that, and that's
you have to be right.
That's a shift in a perspective. But there are things that people are doing that are more desired. You can say desired. It really is how you hold that to your perspective, how you're framing it, how you look at it. I would rather have had something else. You have a right to want things to be differently, but what you're saying is taking things on as if someone has done something to you, when really all they've done was demonstrate who they are by their behavior
and where they are. And sometimes it's about how afraid they are. Almost always that's what that really is telling you. I had a really difficult interaction with a contractor last year. And we were dependent on another group of contractors to do some work before the contractor who was working on my place could finish his work. And he was upset that they hadn't done what they were supposed to do. So when we say things people are supposed to do or they should do, we make them wrong. We're judging. We're saying, I can't be whole without whatever this external thing is. And that's bullshit. It's never the case. So I was trying to get him to understand that I didn't care who was supposed to do it. I just needed it done in the time frame that we were trying to work within. And so I was asking him to do it. And he was like, no, they're supposed to do this. You need to call them and make them. And I'm thinking, whoa, that's not how my life works. I don't call and demand anything from anyone. I get it done. Maybe it's just telling me that there's another way, or I would have waited an extra week or so. So anyway, what happened was he and I got into a very heated exchange, and he hung up on me.
Yeah.
And I was so angry about it for maybe a minute.
Yeah.
And then I let it go. And literally...
And you let it go because...
I let it go because I knew it was going to be fine.
Yeah.
And nothing, like, my life was
nothing all that serious going on, right? Sun's going to come up tomorrow. The birds are going to chirp.
Like, this really had it was just like, it was a detail that just did not need to be controlled. And so within 45 minutes, he was messaging me and essentially telling me that he was going to do whatever I was asking, what I had originally asked him to do, because he didn't understand at that moment. He was in such a state of fear about not getting something that he thought he needed. That what I was trying to help him understand was that the money wasn't an issue, the whatever wasn't an issue. I just needed to know, how much is it going to cost if your guys do this? And he's like, my guys don't want to do it, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't ask you all that. How much and how quickly can you do it? And so then he was like, I think he kind of figured out what I was asking. Like, he ultimately heard he got the message, and the message was still being broadcast telepathically. And I use that all the time. People get the message.
Yeah.
And so he, and it worked out. And within a couple of days, we got it done. And it just cost me a few extra bucks, but it was done, and we were able to stay on our schedule.
And so what I love about that example is, and it's something, this is the kind of thing that happens all day, every day, is these simple situations where if we say we want peace and flow and harmony and want to flow through our day, but we create these situations. Like if he had to process, apparently, he had to figure out what it was you were really needing, and then he could calm down and deliver. And so when in your commitment, back to demonstration, is if you want to have a happier life experience, less stress in your life, flow and ease, you have to really step back and not, you can't have all these kinds of little situations blowing up into these major energy drainers. And so this is a part of demonstrating, what do I want and what am I willing to do to have that? Am I going to engage in loss of energy, negative energy over small things, or am I going to go and communicate, listen to people, which he could have probably done more effectively, and then just deliver?
Okay, and this ties in beautifully to detachment. So when we did the video on detachment, I leveraged my ability to use detachment to get that situation aligned. So I wasn't attached to an outcome. It didn't matter to me who did it. I knew it was going to get done eventually. They couldn't leave the floors undone forever. It was going to happen at some point. It was just a matter of when or who, or again, cost. So I didn't get invested in his fear, but I was kind of taken aback because the moment I found myself getting angry about it, I realized that his fear was causing me to trigger my fear. And I didn't have a reason to fear anything.
And you own that.
Yes. Yeah. And so I took care of my garbage, and it was his job to take care of his garbage. I love that in the Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz, they talk about how we each have our wounds and we're constantly inflicting harm on others because we're walking around wounded, and our garbage is our responsibility. And these are the words they use, and I love that they use these words. And so I have to take care of my garbage, and you have to take care of your garbage. And when everybody's doing that, that's the ultimate act of demonstration.
Exactly. And one way to take care of your garbage is to not look for garbage. And you're making me think of an example of something that happened to me. Actually, it was a couple years ago. I was driving in my car, and I'm the driver. One of my girlfriends is in the car with me, and I'm in traffic downtown Chicago, and I had to kind of swerve. Someone walking jumped out in front of me, and I fortunately did not, I hit that person, and so I was like really relieved. So I'm like, wow, this feels good. I'm glad I didn't. I'm in the flow. My friend. And I purposely did not look at the gentleman who I almost hit. I just said, like this. And I purposely didn't look at him because I had a sense and feeling that the energy was going to be negative. So, but my friend, she says, oh, did you see that guy? He gave you the finger. I'm like, no, not looking for that. You know what I mean? So
not digging for dirt.
I'm not digging for, swimming around at the low. I mean, so not digging for dirt, not looking for garbage. I'm gonna revel in the idea that divine guidance kept me from hitting this man, because I don't hit people, and I don't have, you know what I mean? So it's that kind of commitment, demonstrating you really want to be in the flow and you want to have a good experience.
And being able to demonstrate that in the face of adversity, or in a very uncomfortable situation or interaction, being able to hold the line, that's demonstration.
I like that term.
Walking your walk, walking your talk, and knowing how to be when everything else is utter chaos around you.
And it's a lot of chaos going on, and we're doing these videos now really as a way to help provide some ways for dialogue and some thoughts about how do I navigate in a chaotic world. Not all the world's chaotic, by the way, but the parts that we get kind of inundated with through media and Facebook and Twitter and all that, it can give you a sense that there is just chaos everywhere. And so we're going to hold the line. We're trying to help provide examples on how you can hold the line, because you can only impact your experience, but others are always learning from you.
And others are influenced by what you bring. And remember, this is about demonstrating. So when we're being that balanced, knowing example in the world, people understand what's possible. They have something that they can then kind of sink their teeth into. Oh my gosh, there's other ways to live. There's other ways to be. There are other ways to respond. There are other things to think. There are other ideas to believe in and learn about. And we can get different results if we're all taking responsibility for the stuff that we do, the drama that we drum up. Some people thrive on that. I spoke a little bit about that because I know a couple of people who are still kind of stuck in this cycle of, I feel like I have to fight for everything. Well, as long as you're telling that story,
you have examples and things to fight for.
You're gonna keep creating the circumstances that require your fight. And my story that I'm constantly telling myself relative to that, because as soon as I hear someone says that, it triggers an affirmation in my mind to go, my everything is so easy and effortless in my life. My life is constantly working. Things are always working out for me.
And that's going to frustrate some people because that's not the experience of everyone. But it is certainly something you've taught yourself to do.
But it can be the experience of everyone. And it's not about wanting the same things. It's just about knowing what you're compatible with now. That's going to change over time, but it can be a fun path along the way.
It can be. Life's intended to be fun, guys. So, and you're the creator of it.
I think that's a great stopping point.
Sounds good.
I hope this has been helpful. And thank you, Julie, for doing this with me.
Thank you, Nicole.
A lot of fun conversations with you.
Always fun.
And it's always great to share. It just feels really good to be able to share what we do all the time anyway. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Talk to you next time.